Hey, so a quick aside regarding recording right now. I made the mistake of listening to one of the songs that I first released for Here's Johnny. As I was driving here, I typically just listen to the instrumentals. So I put instrumentals on the iPod, and I'll sing them, and just listen to guitar and stuff. Um, but I put on the actual song, and I'm really hoping this release was pre my realization that bussing was such an important aspect of recording and mixing, really, because it's something that Felicia told me that makes total sense. It feels very flat, like it's just a guitar and a vocal just kind of put on one another, right? Instead of it being mixed well and meshing and kind of smooth is, I guess, a term I would use. So I haven't been able to go home yet to check the original recording, which is on an external hard drive of mine, but it is killing my brain right now because I hate the idea of I can never listen to my own songs after I record them. I don't know why I decided that was a good idea. Granted, if I did mix it incorrectly in terms of what I've learned since then maybe it's a good thing. But it is a funny little insight into the aspect of recording, of releasing songs, where it's like you keep learning, on the way. And the mental strife I'm going through with not knowing, and honestly just hoping that it was before I realized that bussing was so important for the reverbs and the delays, really, mostly. I've also been going through now a bunch of different songs on my iPod that are not my songs, obviously, just to kind of hear the vocal takes on the different songs, and it's very interesting. But yeah, it's a little insight into the recording process more than I did before, and it's killing me right now. So I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, and also I'll update you on probably on this same video here whether or not it was pre-bussing or if it was post-bussing. If it was post-bussing, I'm obviously gonna mix it and see if I can do a better job, which I know I can. I know like the 3 things that I heard that I would fix, so I'm going to fix it. But that's the funny part, is now I have to I technically have to re-release it, but obviously you put it back on. I use DistroKid, and I'll put it back on DistroKid and say it was released already, and with the same release date, but I'll just kind of basically hopefully switch out the songs. But kind of funny. I also noticed something in the guitar. There's not enough room in it. It's flat, and I need to add more reverb probably. But it's gonna be interesting. Also, I'm very curious to see if I get any derisive feedback about my opinions on recording, because it's such a subjective craft, right? So it'd be fun to see what people think of my opinions on recording in general, just to see how that goes. I typically kind of keep to myself and don't really explain much, but now I figure I'm doing this anyway, so why not just explain exactly what I do? Again, it's still a learning curve for me, but I'm really excited to see what people think about it. But yeah, I just got to get that guitar to sit a little bit back more. Also, my opinion is the highs of a guitar or a vocal or anything are actually kind of almost in a term fictional. I'll take the EQ, like the bell curve that I basically do, and I'll pretty much take out all of the high frequencies, or as much as I can to taste, obviously. Number one, it hurts my ears when things are too high. And 2, I like to have that sort of smooth feel. The mids are such a big deal. But I can't have them, covering the vocal, or just, going against the vocals as well. So it's a balancing act there, which maybe is a good reason to have the guitar a little bit back further than it already is. So that's something I'm gonna see what I can do. Still haven't gotten home yet. It's been about an hour since I made the first video that I've put on this thing, but still thinking about it. Haven't listened to it since, but got a couple of ideas. Alright, so it's a day later. Full disclosure, I was just an idiot. It definitely had the bussing attached to it, or in it. So I have started remixing the whole track, which has gone very well. I actually played it for Felicia as I was doing it, and it's much smarter smarter way of doing it. I just, for whatever reason, I fall into the idea of it's an acoustic dude with voice and acoustic guitar and, a couple things sometimes in the background if I'm doing like a full band type thing. But I fall in that whole trap that I've created for myself where it's kind of like it needs to be live, and it definitely doesn't. I'm recording pop songs technically, and I have to remember that, and I have to remember that it's not just a vocal and an acoustic guitar. So that was something I fell into, and I'm glad I heard it now. Obviously, I've added. Honestly, I've just added really just reverbs and some delay. I've really upped the delay in the background and the reverb in the background, or what I call the background, the bussing. So for me, again, it feels like it's kind of behind the track, kind of holds it behind the track. And then I actually added a second reverb on top of it, on the main track itself, and it just sort of, it's night and day different. It's crazy. I'm very excited about it now again, which I'm always excited about, recording stuff. But the fact that it has been caught, I guess, is great. So I guess technically that's a failure I'm portraying, because I definitely failed on the first mix of that thing, with not putting enough spacing on it to make it a studio recording as opposed to a live recording. And that was what, again, Felicia had told me that it sounds like some of my tracks sound that way previously, and I didn't really get it because I'm kind of an idiot sometimes, until I didn't hear it for a couple months, and then it just randomly came on my iPod. So I have fixed that. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to obviously take down the other one, so but I'm not done with it yet. I went home. Honestly, I watched football and I figured that thing out, and then we went to a holiday party for Felicia's company, which was very fun, by the way. But yeah, so a failure that hopefully will turn into a success. It sounds 100 times better. I also put more reverb onto the acoustic guitar track itself, and I actually took out a lot more of the high end, and it just sounds, again, it's mind-blowing to me at least. And actually Felicia really helped me with that one as well. I played that for her, and it's just an insane difference. So again, that learning curve thing I'm going through, which I'm down with because I love doing things myself. So it's not done yet. I will continue updating as it gets done, and I'll continue doing the Wayne's World thing. So it is now December 17th, which is about a week later from when I started this thing. And I say that date because it's my brother's birthday, so happy birthday to my little brother, who has been taller than me since 1999. But yeah, so I started to go over the song itself and the mix and all the different aspects of it, the instrumentation and the vocals and stuff. And I've basically not started over. All the tracks are great. Like, I liked all the tracks, but they were definitely not exactly where they needed to be. So I kind of thought about it as I was going over it. And with projects, I'm typically fairly impatient, but I don't feel like I actually rushed this one when I was doing it like 6 months ago, whenever I was doing this first mix thing. I just think I didn't conceptualize it the same way that I do now, which again is that learning curve and kind of, figuring things out. So I've gone back and added a ton of stuff to it, a bunch of reverbs, a bunch of delays, and I've actually added drums to the chorus as well, because I for some reason was playing through it and I heard it as I was going through, and added that. I've dialed in the sounds for the guitars, and actually the bass itself, the bass in the song is a different bass than I use now, and it was much more muddy back then, and now I've got like a much better bass that I use, and it is just night and day difference to me, at least. So I added that in and took out the other bass. There's an organ that I'm kind of obsessed with currently, like a church organ basically, and I have not mixed it. I mean, I've remixing everything, but I've redone all the sound qualities to it, I guess, and I've upped that in the whole mix, and I've also upped the piano in the whole mix, but I've also put a little different EQ on the piano to kind of make it almost telephone style, but not quite. So it basically takes out the high end and the low end and just keeps the mids. Alright, I'll come back to the car. Okay, no more car. So, for the track itself, obviously I've gotten all the sounds where I want them to be mostly. The guitar sounds way better. I also put a stereo delay on it to sort of wrap it around the vocals almost, so it's a bit bigger sounding, I guess. I have to kind of remember that I'm making a track that is a studio track, not just a guy with a guitar. And now, I always remember that all the time now, but like I need to kind of mentally focus on that. So I've got that. I put drums on it, and the thing about the drums now for the chorus only, the chorus and the ending really, is I'm trying to dial in the sounds the way I want them to be, and I haven't quite found them yet. I found the kick drum how I want it to be, and there's 3 toms on it that I pan left and right to give it a bit of a space and a cool stereo sound. But the snare drum right now that I have on it, it's not quite where I need it or where I want it to be sound-wise, tones and stuff. So I'm actually driving around now and I'm listening to a bunch of different songs, just specifically drums, obviously in the song itself, not just by themselves, but to see kind of what the tone style that I like is or what I don't like, to make sure I get where I want it to be. So that's almost done. It's been a really busy, oddly, it's been a busy week. It feels like a decade since I started this thing, but it's only been like a couple days. So I've only had like maybe an hour here, hour there to sit down and like really get everything set to where I want it to be to even start the mixing, which I actually started it now this morning, the actual mixing process. And I'm just gonna fix up that snare drum when I get home. I think I've got the idea now. It's a mids thing that I want to hone in on. Anyway, so yeah, so now it's almost done, and funny, it's gonna easily be, it's already the best mix I've done now. So it went from by far the worst in my opinion to now by far the best, and I've played it for Felicia, just the music itself without the vocals on it, and even she likes it much better, which is cool. But yeah, just the idea of it being a studio track as opposed to just me and my guitar, it's just such a different feel and a different idea, and just conceptually it's gotta be that way. It's interesting, right? Because we don't have, me and you, whoever's watching this, or anybody out there, we don't have a musical rapport. So why in the world would you click on any song I've ever released? There's millions of bands and billions of songs out there, so why would you ever listen to mine? Which is not like a complaint, it's just like I need to make sure to make everything sound as fantastic as possible. I obviously love the songs I write. I'm sure everyone who writes songs and releases them, they love their songs. Why would you release it otherwise? But why would you listen to me if you don't know who the heck I am anyway? So it's fun to put every effort into every song, down to, bass, drums, the organ thing I'm obsessed with right now, keyboards, pianos, guitars, anything you can think of, obviously vocals. I actually, the vocal tracking, I love it. I realize that I do actually like the vocals. I just need to definitely make sure they're smoother, and they fit the song more. Obviously every song is different and you need to mix accordingly, but I do like the vocal tracks I had, so that's cool. So that part's not the tough part. The tough part is now figuring out what the style of the song is itself and mixing it properly to get what I want out of it. And I've basically got that now, so I will finally finish that. I'm assuming tonight. I've got a bit of time tonight once I get home to finally finish it. I've got the music where I want it in the mix. Now I need to obviously add the vocals in with the music and then make sure it sounds right. I've done some pretty cool stuff with it, I think. So anyway, that is the process of finding out that my song that I released was flat as heck, and then to go back and fix it, and then going forward to make sure to remember how to do it so it sounds like a studio track. It is a studio track, so why not sound like it as opposed to being that acoustic singer-songwriter thing? I can do that when I'm playing live, but the track itself has to just be pristine. It has to be polished, you know, and that's where I'm getting to now. And luckily, the concept is ingrained in my head. So I may put one more of these videos up when it's completely done, you know, add it to this video. But other than that, it has been a process, and I'm enjoying it. But hopefully, this gives some insight into try again, and it'll come out well. So there you go. So I just remembered something, and before I am able to get home, I wanted to put it out there because I might forget again. First off, about the vocal thing, I'm just so excited about the way the processing now encapsulates the whole thing. It's a huge difference, and it makes it sound so much better. But also, so there's a pre-chorus in the song that has some guitar in it and vocals, and that's it. And I was kind of thinking of adding some drums to it, but it just didn't sound like it didn't mesh the way I would want it to. But the pre-chorus was still so empty feeling. Once it gets to the chorus, and then even from the verse, it just doesn't build well enough with just an acoustic guitar and a voice. So what I actually did was I always have harmony vocals that I obviously put behind and fix up to sound right. But I put a harmony vocal, and I actually put a stereo delay on it, and then I also made it that phone voice sound, and I added a bunch of reverb and other delay on it to kind of make it like a bed for the vocal itself. So it almost expands the whole thing out. It makes it a build from verse, which is just guitar, vocal, and some harmonies behind it, and then it goes to the pre-chorus, which now has the guitar, vocal, some harmonies as well, but then that kind of almost noise vocal. I don't know how to explain it, but like a noise sound, but it's obviously a harmony for the main vocal. It just effects basically added to it to kind of make it feel bigger as it expands to then the chorus itself, which now it just explodes into an extremely fun chorus. I'm so excited about it. I also forgot to add that I added in the chorus, I also added some staccato violin to bolster the drive and like the kind of epic nature of the song, and it just sounds great. But yeah, I wanted to pass that more the pre-chorus building block of the song along too. So I finished the mix this morning. It is polished now. It sounds great. Everything is where it needs to be. For reasons beyond my conscious understanding, I actually, for whatever reason, actually mixed the music itself together first, and then mixed the vocals themselves together second, and then I put them together and did final tweaks from there. And it just, I don't know if you can tell from my body language, but it quelled my anxiety regarding the whole amateur sound of the first mix I did. Still really disappointed that happened, but I definitely have to learn, which kind of brings me to another idea, is that eventually I would like to mix and master things for other people, but I couldn't do that in good conscience with mistakes that I'm already, that I continuously make. So, now that I know exactly what's going to sound correct and how to get there, obviously I'm going to do more songs that way and get to the point where I don't feel like I make those mistakes anymore. I'm going to play the mix obviously for Felicia when I get home tonight, just to make sure. After that, I'm going to mix it down, and then I'm going to master it, which is awesome. I use a I've got a mastering program, basically. It's Ozone 8. But I really like the image. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called, like an image expander thing. So it allows me to further. I do panning in the mix itself, but then with this stereo imager, that's what it is. If I take the stereo imager and you can take the different stereo images and mess with them to make them even more stereo, more around, more out there, and it's really neat. So I'm going to do that, and just really proud of the process of getting it done correctly, and I can't wait for you to hear it. I'm going to definitely have it attached to the end of this video, in another video as a song attachment, probably up here somewhere. But yeah, finally got it correct, and now I'm going to keep moving on. So this is an epilogue of sorts for the remixing of Behold. I had a nearly instant gratification moment for it yesterday. Backstory, I, during the pandemic, have done Uber, I've done Lyft, I've done DoorDash. I have a Prius C, and I love this little car. I'm actually in it now, and it works out well for that. But I'm part of a Facebook group that keeps me updated on different things that happen in those, like in DoorDash, for instance, and that's what this group was. And someone posted up a message about being hit on during a Dash delivery, and I just responded to that saying that I had never been hit on for that, but I had actually been hit on during some Uber rides or Lyft rides. I can't remember which one it was, and it got really, it gets a bit dicey. People are very bold. Trust me on that one. Stories for other days. I told Felicia them, but they get crazy. But anyway, so I posted that up as a response to the first person's mentioning of being hit on, and somebody responded to my message saying that they had, since my profile picture is not of me, it's actually, at the time, I'm not sure what it is now, but at the time it was of the one of the Nothing album art or single art picture. So this person wanted to see what I looked like. They wanted to see if I was ugly, basically. And they checked out my profile, my personal profile on Facebook, and for whatever reason kind of tracked down and saw that I had a link to the songs on it. And then the person clicked that link and ended up listening to the song, apparently all the songs, but ended up listening to Behold twice because she liked it so much. And then respond. That was the response I received, which I thought was so cool. It's so funny. Like, anybody can do anything like that and just not say anything about it, just kind of move on with life. But it was honestly really kind, and it made my day that she would then post up about that, respond to mine with that. But it's interesting. I realize that a song probably has to be at least good in someone's head to garner a second listen specifically. But I would assume also that the mixing of that song has to be good enough not to kill that idea. Like, you can have a song that's okay, and okay mixed, and people might listen to it a couple times, but like to have that song mixed well, and then have them then kind of get stuck in their head immediately, and it feels correct, and that's kind of the instant gratification of the whole thing. It's like, I literally put this song up, less than a week ago, I think, and now instantly that's the song that somebody heard and liked so much that she listened to it twice, which is a huge compliment, and really makes me feel good about the mix. The song itself, I've always loved that song, but now they have someone cite that specific song out of the, 6, 7, whatever I have up there right now, it's crazy, actually. So that kind of rounds out the entirety of this remixing of the song itself, and my epilogue.